Hey there, welcome to another RHLSTP. This one comes from the Leicester Haymarket with Jenny Eclair, part of the tour, which is nearly over. I mean, it's over for 2019. There are some more dates in 2020 in London, Norwich and Birmingham. Those Norwich and Birmingham ones are selling very fast. Go to richtrain.com/gigs to find out more about that. RHLSTP.co.uk is another great place to go to find out about the stuff that's going on this podcast. But hey, it's nearly Christmas. Why not go to gofasterstripe.com and buy yourself some RHLSTP trumps? You can get the regular ones or the special limited golden ones. You can get all my DVDs and downloads. You can get Emergency Questions book bundle, 3 Emergency Questions books for just £20. All different ones, mainly different questions. And on that site, gofasterstripe.com, there's also hundreds of amazing DVDs, downloads, all sorts of stuff for you to enjoy. Thanks to Chris Evans, not that one. I have the career I have. Please support him by going to buy one of his things before Christmas. It'll be very nice. Anyway, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy RHLSTP.
Very long way. Oh, we're here now. That's good. All right. It's a long way back, though, isn't it? That's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Haymarket Theatre in Leicester. Please welcome a man who can't believe he's furious. He's about to perform in front of a room full of bone thieves. It's Richard Herring. What lovely bone thieves you are. Very generous. Thank you. Hello! Hello, Leicester! Oh, lovely. Yes, they're very excited they are to have me here, and I can't blame them. Please, welcome to Richard Herring's Leicester Stealing Tibias podcast. Got to change what? You've got to get, and this is all about coming to Leicester and just stealing the leg bones, and other bones if you can get them. They just love bones here. Of whatever celebrity. They don't have to be even connected to the city. They can be connected to a completely different city. Leicester will have them, that's the way as long as they died here. But I was, there'll be more about that, don't worry. I'm from York originally, let's get that out of the way. But I was talking to Leicester's zombie scavengers experience. I don't know if you've seen these guys. There's a Leicester zombie scavengers experience. How do they tell the difference between, I walked through Leicester. I don't know if I was part of the game. They call it RHLSTP, so I don't know if that's going to catch on. Yeah, I am furious about Richard of York. How did you swing that? So you got just because someone died here? That's not a reason. That's like stealing the bone. You killed him, and then you kept his bones and you're making money off him. That is disgusting. You disgust me. Send him back home. It's where you'd want to be. I looked up the Richard III Visitor Centre on TripAdvisor. Got some bad reviews, I'm going to let you know. 1-star review. I turned up at 1:35. This is really of the cafe, I have to say. I turned up at 1:35 to be told very little food was available. I ordered sandwiches, still waiting 30 minutes later. That's now past 2 o'clock. My choice of bread, now unavailable. Furious. If Richard III had sampled this poor level of service, he would never have come to Leicester. I think it's preferable to what happened to him the last time he came to Leicester. I think if he said, there's a choice, we're going to kill you, strip your body naked, ride you in on a horse, mate, or you can have a sandwich, but it'll be half an hour late. Which one do you like? And Richard III would be, what's a sandwich? That sounds amazing. I must have taken you days to prepare this amazing. You wouldn't understand. What is this visitor centre even for? You don't need to know. Well, no, tell me what it's about. No, clearly you don't want to know about that. Very cross about that. I'm also cross because I'm also... Well, look, I was born in York. I then, from the years of 4 to 8, I moved to Loughborough, your greatest enemy. And to be honest, the city, the town that is in danger of stealing your attempt to be a living 20th century museum, anyone can Because you've done some work to the centre of Leicester, which has ruined it, to be honest. But if you go to Loughborough, it's like being in 1973. Straight, there's no... Believe me, I was there. It's exactly the same as when I was last there. And then I moved to Cheddar, and then you've come in with your red Leicester, thinking you can do... Red Cheddar's better than red Leicester, even just the red Cheddar. It's not even the main one. So I hate you guys. And I'm furious to have to perform for you. But we'll do our best. I'll talk to you some more about Leicester later. So will you please welcome my first only guest today. She is probably best known for her performance as hotel worker in Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Yeah, you all remember her from that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jenny Eclair. Jenny Eclair. Come in. Sit down, Jenny.
Guten Abend.
Yeah, very good.
Guten Abend, wie geht's?
Wow.
Richard.
I can see how you got the role now.
Well, there was other things were involved with that, but let's not go there quite yet. Hello, Leicester. What a joy to be here.
Was that your first acting role last week? You've done some acting, haven't you?
I've done some acting. I'm highly trained. I went to drama school. I really thought I was going to be an actress, Rich. It all went horribly wrong, and I still get very bitter about it. I still think, I look at my CV and I go, that's shit. Because the acting kind of stalled after the German-speaking maid in Auf Wiedersehen Pet.
Yeah.
But which I got. I was anorexic at the time, so not really a very good waitress. I really looked like, I was a waitress at the time.
Yeah.
So I'd had some method acting in me. I was working in Covent Garden, but I was the world's worst waitress because although I could remember very long orders, it was one of my tricks. I thought that was a really important thing, just to be able to remember orders. I never used a notebook.
Yeah.
But I couldn't bear people eating. It used to make me feel sick. And sometimes these people, do you know what? I've grown out of anorexia, really have. I mean, some people look at me these days and they look at me as if to say, oh, I didn't know you could recover that well. And they'd want puddings and things, and I literally would, are you sure? You really, that much? So yeah, I did Auf Wiedersehen Pet. And I remember going to a party. Do you remember there was a lad in it and he died of a drugs overdose?
Yeah.
I remember going to a party at his house and I remember seeing this line of cocaine and it was his lot. He had a fridge freezer, one of those big chest freezers.
Yeah.
And there was a line of cocaine all the way down the freezer.
Yeah.
I thought, you'll die. That's too much cocaine.
It is.
Yeah.
It's too much cocaine. Well, there's a signal less of you. He went on to sing I think we might have talked about it not that story, but
what,
I think Gary Holton he was called, wasn't he?
Yes.
He sang the theme to Murphy's Mob as well.
You would know.
Yeah, I know. And then I was very sad that he died because he was the singer in Murphy's Mob.
If I'd had that piece of information, I'd have forgotten. I'd have jettisoned it as not being necessary for me to cling on to.
No, I'd still
remember.
remember
I have to have space in my head for other stuff.
It was very sad when he died. He was one of the Richard Beckersdale was a similar thing, and just very suddenly taken from us.
We're lucky to be here.
We are. Look at us,
I don't
old
think
farts.
Leicester appreciates. I could go at any time.
They're just waiting for you to die so they can get your bones, Jenny. That's what they're. There's the scavengers waiting.
Yeah.
Vultures.
Any old bones.
They wait till you're dead. They're not. We're not in Gloucester. They wait till you're dead. But and they love you. They love your bones. So, and you also, I was looking at some of your theatrical credits. I don't think we talked about your theatre. You were in, and I heard you talk about this on your podcast, you were in the Killing of Sister George, which is...
Well, I was and I wasn't.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you know the show, The Killing of Sister George? There's a lot of blank faces. Okay, so it was a film. It was actually originally a stage play, and then it became a film. It was very, very famous because... Oh, you're going to have to help me out with names. It was Beryl Reid.
Beryl Reid.
Yes, Beryl Reid.
Susan Penhaligon, was it?
She was playing, this terrible old lesbian, really sort of rah, lesbian. And she got off with a younger lesbian who was very pure and kind of pink-cheeked and all that. And she was a terrible old drunk, the old lesbian.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first time I went up for a role in The Killing of Sister George it was going to be in the West End with Miriam Margolyes. I'm turning into one of those theatrical old farts. I'm just sitting here in this armchair. And I went up, anyway, to this audition at the West End. And Miriam Margolyes was playing the grubby old leather, right? And And I was doing the sort of innocent young thing, and I didn't get that part.
No.
About 20 years later, I got a recall for the killing of Sister George. I thought, well, it's a long time coming, this call. You know, that was years ago. I've moved on. And then this time, it was for the old Leicester. Hey, come on. I got it. I got that part. I got it. It was marvellous, marvellous. I had a marvellous time. And I had to wear a wig, and I looked frighteningly like Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah.
But you could have played her in The Crown. We got Gillian Anderson's playing her in
Do you think she's going to do it with a bit of sexy slip showing? Because Gillian Anderson, she likes a good lingerie. You see, I don't do good lingerie. I don't know how many women in this audience do. I mean, the world of women divides into those who spend money on their bras and pants, and the rest of us whose underwear looks like lost property. I'm in the lost property category, very much so. But Gillian Anderson, have you not noticed, when she does a part, she's always got... There are some women, and they have unusual coloured silk underwear, like a coffee colour, or a raspberry with a sort of froth of lace. She's a bit like that.
Yeah.
She'll be doing Thatcher with just a bit of frothy lace.
I think so. She's
like a camisole.
I mean, Thatcher was like a little bit sexy, but her being played by... There was some bad things about her. She was... I mean, I like powerful women.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm not intimidated by powerful.
Her whole cabinet was in sexual thrall to Margaret. She had good legs.
And said she liked handsome-ish middle-aged men hanging around. Cecil Parkinson only got that job due to being a handsome...
Yeah, you have a Cecil Parkinson kind of floppy hairdo thing going on. Yeah. He was an appalling man,
He was a terrible man.
Appalling man.
He was. I nearly bought his house.
Did you?
Yeah.
How extraordinary.
And just 2 weeks before he died, I nearly bought Cecil Parkinson's house. And then he died. And then the offer was accepted, but then we couldn't sell our house in time, so I didn't get it.
You didn't know that, did you,
Yeah.
Leicester?
I met Cecil Parkinson just before he died, and
he was... By this time tomorrow, I'll have forgotten that. I don't need that bit of information in my head.
He was a lovely sort of avuncular old fella. He was telling us about how...
Well, he would have been. You know, all the old shits, they turn into these sweet old men, don't they?
But he was very bad. He was a very bad...
Oh,
I mean, even for a
Treated
Tory...
his mistress appallingly.
Yeah, and his daughter.
Yes, never had anything to do with her.
Awful man.
Yeah, terrible man.
Yeah.
Glad he's dead.
I really laughed when he died because I'd literally just had the offer accepted, and then I saw the news that he died, and it was the same day.
God,
but he'd actually died a couple of days before.
Killed him.
Maybe he did. He just thought, my house is in safe hands. I can go now. He took loads of money off the price because they were desperate to sell it because he was dying. His wife's still alive. She must be delighted he's gone.
Dancing on his grave.
And he didn't treat her very well. And so they took... But I think he saw us as a young family coming in. I'm really glad we didn't get that house because it was way beyond our means and we would have been thrown out because there was a lot of work needed doing till we could just afford.
All right, we've heard that.
But only because they took a load. He took a load off. He had a Modigliani in his bedroom.
Was it a real Modigliani?
Yeah.
You know, Modigliani, I went to see the exhibition at the Tate, got very bored because he only painted people from one side.
Yeah.
Did you go and see the exhibition? There's Modigliani, he's a one-sided painter.
Yeah.
Everyone's at the same angle.
Right. Well, it's difficult to paint people in 3 dimensions, though.
Swap the face
it's always the same one.
Or the same.
Yeah.
It always looks the same. It's not the same model.
Yeah, but when you hit a formula...
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Because I paint. I
do. I know you paint. Yeah. Well,
very, very badly.
Well.
So badly, but I can still slag off Modigliani. Yeah. I think that's a skill.
But you've sort of... We were on this show 6 or 7 years ago, just when we were starting doing it.
I remember it.
And
I do remember it.
Yeah.
Because can I tell you why? I remember the day so well. Because it was the first day of my menopause. Which I'm still banging on about. I'm going to get my...
You're lucky. I killed Cecil Parkinson. I only just stopped your periods happening.
Yeah, with one look, gone. Just the ovaries just instantly freeze-dried up. No, it was before. It was in the afternoon. I thought I was having these feelings, mostly of anger, because I never got the hot sweats and all that. I just got fucking rage. I got fucking rage. We were talking all the fucking time, and I fucking hated every fucker in the fucking world. Cunt. All right. And that takes the enamel off your teeth. If you're just doing that all the time. So I went to see it. I went Harley Street, of course, because, the normal GPs, they don't listen to you if you're just, whining about not, swearing all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, so what? So I paid good money to be listened to properly. Dribble, very
Scary.
No, she took me seriously because that's what they're paid to do,
Yeah.
you see. So I've got some HRT. I had my HRT. And then there was a bit of a gap between seeing this doctor and seeing you. I went to see Gravity, the film.
Okay.
So we can date that podcast. I remember sitting. I'm a very critical person.
Yeah.
You know Modigliani?
Yeah.
Gravity's worse.
Is that the one where...
She spins off in space.
Spins off into space. George Clooney spins off
Yeah,
into
you
space.
think,
Don't spoilers.
And you just sat there thinking, has it not come here yet? You sat there thinking, well, what a load of shit. Really. And I like her, Sandra
Yeah, me
Bullock.
too. I like her.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. Oh, well. So...
She can live.
Yeah. I think in the intervening 6 or 7 years, whatever it is, you seem to have grown up and matured and taking life seriously in a way that you've got married, which you said you'd never do.
Yeah, well, yes.
For...
yes. Well, my partner's very old. And I had this financial advisor who said... It wasn't the world's most romantic proposal. It was the financial advisor who said, if you don't get married, you're a fool because you'll end up giving it all to the government because, death duties and all that. I thought, well, I'll spend it before that. But anyway, so we got married, yeah.
Right.
It wasn't a big do. I got away with about $2,500.
Okay, that's good.
And it was about 30 people, and we were home in time for Love Island. The whole thing appalled me, actually. I find the whole thing of weddings kind of appalling.
Well, that's what you've always said. You thought...
Yeah, I think they're incredibly naff.
Yeah.
Even my own. I mean, halfway up there wasn't an aisle. It was in this little box of a room. But as I'd had to make that, you had to pretend, don't you? You had to do that wall. And halfway up, I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, this is ridiculous. And then there was this bloke from the registrar's office, who got slightly hysterical and started giggling halfway through the service. I thought, not even you can take this seriously. It's ridiculous. I was quite cross. Anyway, I'm still with him.
Yeah, that's good.
He was 71 the other day.
Wow.
And sometimes I look at him and I really love him. I really love him. Sometimes I look at him and I'd quite like to punch him in the face. Do you know what I mean?
I do, but that's marriage, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It's only been 2 years for us.
But you've been together for a long
37 or something, yeah.
So I've been married for 8 years.
She's far too good for you.
I know, but...
I bet you, every time you wake up in the morning, I bet you can't believe what you've got. Jesus, how did that happen?
Yeah. No, yeah. It is strange.
Yeah. See, I got one of the old ones, because then at least he's kind of grateful.
Yeah. Well, that might be her thinking, it's a similar thing. But then, then you're stuck with an old bloke in your bed, aren't you?
Well, yeah, this is it, because, when I first met Jeff, he was 32. And actually, he was 34, because I was 22. And he was like a man of the world. He was the art director of the TV Times, and he had a Porsche. And that's what I first spotted. I was walking down... I was living with this pop star and his wife. Well, I was living with the wife because the pop star had gone on tour. It was Joe Jackson. Anyway, we're going back, 80s, South London. I walked out this flat and I saw this racing Porsche, and there was a pair of legs sticking out. He was fixing it. He's too fat to get under a Porsche now. He'd never get, he'd have to have a very big, one of those big American trucks to get under. And anyway, we got it on, and all that. And... I didn't know that in 30-odd years he'd sort of turned into a Toby jug. Actually, he's still quite an elegant man.
Yes,
he's an elegant man. Yeah. No,
I like Jeff a lot.
He's a good man. He's far too good for me.
Yeah,
Everyone says that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, you didn't marry him. You could have escaped at any time. So that's the thing. You marry someone when they're young and beautiful, and then they get older and older and older, and you go, oh, God, what am I stuck with an old person? You are also getting older. That's the thing. We all are. I don't
know why you'd have to say that. Why would you say that?
Because I do the same as me. I don't view myself as getting older. So it's very difficult to remember that I have all. Well, you look around. I know. You look around the world, and in my mind, I'm still feeling very young.
Yeah,
I can feel myself. If I look at the mirror in the bathroom downstairs where it's quite dark, I look quite good in that.
Yeah.
So I only look at myself in that mirror.
Yeah, what we've got on our side is perspective.
Yeah.
The further you stand away from the mirror, the better we look.
Yeah.
I'm very good from a distance in a fog. Preferably to a man with cataracts. That was the other thing. Jeff had cataracts, so for a while I looked great. Then he's had his cataracts done. And I remember him looking at me then as if to go, shit.
But I read you write an article in the Independent.
Yeah.
Is it regularly? Is it every
week.
Every
God,
week.
it hangs over me. It's like a fucking albatross around my neck. You have to think of something to write about every week, and there's nothing every week. All there is Brexit and people being mental and bad-tempered and furious.
But you do. It's very good. I've been reading them today. I've read them over the.
Have you done your homework? God,
I do.
Have you had a terrible week of doing
awful
researching me?
No, just a couple of hours. Don't worry. I don't go that deep in. Don't punish myself too much. Well, I used to write a Metro article it's the same thing every week, 600 words every week for 4 years. I did. It is difficult. But there was one about you saying you were now, you've learned to behave yourself as you're approaching.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you were saying you used to always misbehave in every situation. You wouldn't concentrate on anything.
No, what I did. I remember this article. It was about one thing in particular, right? Because I haven't started. I still shoplift.
Okay.
What? Anyway, it was... I remember an article I did write about listening for once in my fucking life. Because I have never listened to anybody. I went through school just thinking I knew better than anybody else, just not paying any attention whatsoever. I didn't even read my A-level text book, which was Bleak House, till the night before. And I thought I could get away. It's about 750 pages. I didn't know who the lead characters were. I went into that exam, I had no idea. But I had the opportunity earlier this year to do this painting thing with a bloke who was teaching. He just did a half-hour thing, and I decided, I was on a TV set with him, I decided to do what he told me to do. Well, Modigliani, fuck off. Because my lakeside with daffodils, with a little bit of bulrushes, it was a splendid thing. Splendid, Rich, it was. So I have learnt now and again to sort of go, OK, you don't know everything, listen.
Yeah. But you're saying, you're doing watercolours, you're backstage, you were doing a little tapestry.
I was backstage doing my tapestry.
Yeah.
I've got very high blood pressure. It's meant to keep me calm.
So, things are settling down a little compared to, I'm sure we talked about it last time, but we shared flats in Edinburgh in the 1990s.
You talking about... I said before when we were backstage, and I said, look at me doing tapestry backstage. I used to do cocaine back in the day. It's been a long time. I have, because do you know what? It looks ridiculous. I'm 59. If I was sort of trolling around like I used to in sort of red PVC trousers, well, for a start, if I put on a pair of red PVC trousers now, everyone would think, oh, here comes World of Leather. I look like an overstuffed sofa. So there are things that, you have to sort of put your hand up and go, oh, I can't do that anymore, because I will look absolutely ridiculous.
It feels... Doesn't that feel like so close, such a short time ago we were sharing those flats in Edinburgh? It doesn't feel like 25... to 30 years ago.
All right. It was decades ago. I think it doesn't feel that long ago because the experience is often relived. You go back to Edinburgh every year, so that same sort of thing, you're experiencing it. And I went up this year and all the stuff floods back, all the joy, all the horror of it. And I had some, like everybody who does stand-up, you have some golden moments in Edinburgh and some howling, awful behind closed doors in disabled toilets where you shouldn't be, crying. Lots of that, yeah.
You still go out though,
I'm out tonight. This is a big night out for me.
Come to
and
Leicester.
Do you know what? I've come to Leicester, got a nice train ticket. I had a seat all to myself.
Good.
I have my tapestry. I've got a book, I've got an Audible on the go, and I've got Interior Design Challenge downloaded for the way back. I can't tell you how exciting tonight is. This is a glorious night out.
Well, you were we'll talk about Edinburgh and just the way you were a trailblazer really for female
And
comedians.
have I had any thanks
You
for
do
it?
get a little bit of thanks, don't you? But you don't get much thanks.
Where's my afternoon telly programme? Where's my sit-down quiz show, hey?
I agree. It's terrible. You should be. There definitely should be. But you won the Perrier Award, and the first solo woman to win the Perrier Award.
Yeah.
But now it does feel like there's a sea change that's gone on.
Huge shift in women in comedy, and a big shift for the better. And I think that the most interesting thing about what women are doing in comedy these days, and I have talked about this before, but I'll bang on again because I'm quite boring. I think that what women are doing now on stage is something different to what we had to go through, because what we had to do was compete with men. So what we did was we copied men and did jokes like men and said, concentrated on writing gags and behaving like men on stage and all that sort of thing. All that is over. It's gone. Women are doing much more interesting, very sort of female-rooted things. And I just think that there's this whole other world of performance has opened up that women have taken the reins of. And I think that a lot of the work I've seen in the last year, these are often women who are part comics, part performance artists.
Yeah.
People like Bryony Kimmings, Louisa Omilon, who are doing these shows that are a lot of emotional gut spilling, but with theatrics as well, and a lot of sort of, I don't know, and I just think, I'm so glad that women are able to move so far away from just being pretend men on stage.
Yeah.
And they're just doing... And I'm fascinated by it. I think there's some great work going on.
Yeah, well, I think for me, it was the interesting stuff. I didn't see lots of shows in Edinburgh. I talked to a lot of the comedians up in Edinburgh when I did the podcast up there. But I think it did, comedy did get into a bit of a rut, and, it was all a bit similar kind of people. And now there's just the diversity.
The diversity is properly there.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was coming through, weirdly, in the early 80s, the diversity was better than it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because stand-up comedy didn't have quite it wasn't so categorised. It was, this is really difficult to explain, actually, because there was a wave of performance that was going on in the early 80s that kind of died away, and there was a lot of poetry. I mean, I remember Lem Cisse when he was sort of 19 doing his poetry, and there were sort of lots of acrobatic stuff, lots of physical stuff, lots of spoken word, lots of really kind of mad stuff. Those are the days where... Do you remember Woody Bop Muddy, where he had the record graveyard, where he'd go to a car boot sale and he'd buy a load of records and he'd sort of nail them to a post, right? And the audience had to decide whether he smashed it up, and he'd play it and smash it. It was great. It was kind of... a lot of art schooly stuff was going down in the early 80s, and that kind of disappeared, and this very corporate bloke comedy came in the 90s. And that's just gone now. It's better now. And I think there's a lot more niche comedy, so people don't have to go to horrible comedy clubs. And I think that now women are free from having to do those awful comedy clubs where they sort of, you go in when your bowels are churning because you could have a really shit time.
Yeah.
Because it's all hen nights and stag nights and all that sort of thing. Nobody's listening to you. And, the jongleurs things and all that. And there are... so many clubs now, so many different ways into comedy, podcasts, that sort of thing, that women aren't having to do that shit.
Yeah.
They're just not. And I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it's good for comedy, I think, definitely.
Sorted that out.
Good,
anyway.
it's nice, yeah. We're going to have a little serious bit where we say, I'll ask you an emergency question now to change the mood. I want to ask you this, actually. Don't think I asked you this one. If you were going to be in a human centipede... I haven't done this one for a little while, so I think you might have a good answer to this. You're going to be put in a human centipede. Are you aware what this is?
That's the sex one?
No, it's a film. It depends on what you find sexy. It's a film in which a mad scientist stitches people together, mouth to anus, in a centipede. Now, this is going to happen to you, Jenny, but...
My mouth to someone's arse,
yeah.
Or is it someone else's arse to mine?
Well, I will tell you, you're going to be in the middle. The scientist has made that decision for you, but kindly, he's allowed you to choose who will be in front of you and who will be behind you. Who would you like to have in front of you? Who would you like to be behind in your human centipede?
Am I allowed to shave the person in front first?
I mean...
Are razors...
I think you can probably use your teeth to bite any hair off. Remember to spit it out. You'll have to swallow it for the next guy. The next guy will get a furball of whoever's hairy anus you're worried about.
This is a terrible, terrible, terrible.
I mean, I wouldn't say the hair was the first thing that would. The first thing I'd be worried about with that is the fecal matter that would be.
Yeah, some people really like that.
Well,
some people acquire a taste for it, you know. I haven't acquired that. I don't even like chocolate blancmange. As a little girl, I was once traumatised by a chocolate blancmange that I thought tasted of poo.
Right.
I've never got over that since. I don't know how I'm going to handle this.
No, it won't be good.
Can I have someone who's an Olympic swimmer? Because that arsehole will have been chlorinated at least. Okay? I want... Because they often shave as well, don't they? Those Olympic types. They'll be shaved because they're more aerodynamic in the water.
I don't know if they have to shave that arsehole to be...
They will.
Only if they're in the backstroke.
Because a thick, claggy, hairy arsehole is going to slow them down in the water. Yeah, of course it will. So they're going to shave and they're going to be chlorinated, and that's going to be... So I want...
That will only be the case for to begin with, though, and the hair will grow... If you live, the hair will grow back.
Yeah, but I'm going to be sewn... My mouth's going to be
sewn...
So
the hair will be like a little goatee for you around... Okay. No one's got into the hair before, so I'm delighted this is happening.
Right, OK, so I'm there.
Yeah.
I've got the...
So it's an Olympic swimmer.
I couldn't give a shit who's behind me. I mean, that's just... You know, they've got to just put up with my sloppy arse wiping.
You can choose someone you don't like.
Someone I don't like. OK, someone who deserves it. Well, we'll have Boris Johnson behind me, shall we? We'll just do that.
OK.
OK.
I think you'll like it.
It's probably something he did at school.
Yeah. It probably is. I mean, it's not 100 miles away, is it, from Cameron? So, anyway, what happened to Cameron? And I'll ask you this emergency question as well, which we may have touched on this a little bit, but this is a new emergency question I like asking. If you could take one item home with you from any art gallery or museum in the world, and you're allowed to keep it and it's yours, I think you'll have a good answer to this question. What piece of art or artefact or anything from any museum or art gallery would you like to possess?
God, that's really, really hard. I've seen so much good stuff. And I live with someone who collects.
Yes,
I mean, not on a sort of, you know. Am I going to go? Listen, I live in southeast London.
Yeah.
So we've got to be a bit careful, you know. And I live in mostly a glass house. People can see in. So really, I need something quite small that I can hide in the toilet because otherwise they'll all be in. Oh God, that is really. Who do I like? Oh, can I come back to... No, I've got to think of something on the spot.
No, it's not. You can take some time. The bones of King
I'll have
Richard
something
III.
in my garden. I'll have a Henry Moore in my garden.
Okay,
because they're heavy, right? You want a big fuck-off Henry Moore. And they can't carry them out.
No.
Not the little junkies that live around me. They can't. So I'll have that in my back garden.
Okay.
And then I will have... There is a really beautiful piece that I'd have in my spare room. I'm going to have something for every room, I think. OK.
Technically it's only one, but you can steal some more while you're in there.
There's a piece by Sam Taylor Wood, and it's a piece of film. It's an installation, and it's David Beckham sleeping.
OK.
It's really lovely. It's really beautiful. And I don't really like installation art much, but I sometimes do. When I do, I really like it. Do you remember there was one with Tilda Swinton? Do you remember when Tilda Swinton... Do you know Tilda Swinton? She's an actress. I base my whole look on her, and I can't quite do it. She's very, very elegant, proper actress. Anyway, she did this installation, I can't remember who it was for, where she lay in a glass box, like Sleeping Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah, like in a casket.
Yeah.
And it was at the Serpentine Gallery.
Okay.
I remember going to see that, and there was a lid on it, and I just thought, I wonder if Tilda's been farting, and I just lifted the lid. Farting in the box,
I mean, you'd think you were safe, wouldn't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, you would.
So you'd like Tilda Swinton in a box in your house?
No, I like so many different things. I mean, you know, there are a few things that you I mean, I love a Hockney. You know, I mean, I think the great thing about having a Hockney is if you had a bigger splash on your wall, nobody would know it was the real thing. Everyone would think you got it from Athena Posters. So nobody would nick it. That'd be fine.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think in this fantasy world, you don't have to worry about someone stealing it.
Okay. Well, then, I've got a Tracy Emin. It's my bed. It's a homage every day. I didn't get it. Oh, funny. No, there's so many.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, the old man, he drags him around an art gallery most weeks.
Yeah, well, I haven't been inside your house, but I've seen lots of pictures of your house because you've won awards for the design of your house, haven't you? And
One award, not lots of awards. I mean, it's because we built, well, I say we built it. I did fuck all, of course. I just sat in another house sulking. But I live in a house that my partner and an architect built.
Yeah.
I did nothing to help. And I was shocked that it turned out habitable, to be quite honest. But it is very small. For an award-winning house, people think, oh, it must be posh and big, but it's a little black wooden shed.
But it's small, but it's so elegant. I mean, I would be scared to live in it. Everything's so beautifully put. I mean, I wouldn't, even without
I wouldn't
kids.
let you in, love.
Well, I wouldn't. You mustn't let me in.
I'm not having you and your kids in.
The only good thing about having kids is I can pretend when I'm covered in food and stuff that it's the kids that did it.
Yeah.
But literally...
It is a bit delicate.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't... You must... Do you hide all your other stuff somewhere else? You've got a lock-up to hide?
We've got a lock-up of shame. Of course we have. Got a double garage lock-up full of shit. I tell you. Yeah.
But it's very elegant. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your book.
Oh, yes.
Which is... You've written several books and some novels. You started out... What was the first book you wrote in the 90s called Jenny Eclair's...
A Book of Bad Behaviour.
Yes.
That was fun. That was... Virgin had a publishing arm at the time, and I got a little deal with them. And money hasn't gone up since books. No. I mean, it's rubbish. And it was How to Behave Badly, and then I did a show of it and all that. And I remember thinking it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. And I look at it now, it's more or less like a pamphlet. It's so tiny and flimsy. And it was just at the time when computers were coming into the home.
Yeah.
And I remember going to this meeting, them saying, I suppose you've got a computer. And I lied. I went, yeah, of course I've got a computer. I had to get this computer. And literally, I had no idea what to do with it. I couldn't... It was like this magic box. Do you remember your first computer?
I do,
Just thinking, what? And there was a funny little encyclopedia that you could put on a kind of cartridge that went in the computer. And I remember being fascinated because it had a little video thing of bread going mouldy. It was a speeded up thing. I just thought this was the most magical thing I'd ever seen. I couldn't take my eyes off the bread going mouldy.
There were some really good things on the internet as well, if you looked for that, but it was better than bread going mouldy.
I know, I was looking for the wrong things, but that at the time, and those little bit of footage of the Hindenburg disaster as well. Those were two things.
It seemed amazing, didn't it? Imagine if you sent the kids back to look at that now. Anyway, you are now writing novels.
Yes.
And this is your latest one, Inheritance. Is it you got two more coming after this, right?
This is my fifth novel.
Yeah.
I'm like a proper novelist.
I mean, it's incredible.
It's like a body of work.
It is.
Yeah, I could take up quite a bit of a shelf.
Yeah. Well, they're serious. They're serious.
Ben Nelson's still got more.
Yeah.
But I'm catching up.
Yeah.
And mine are better.
Yours are definitely better than Ben Elton's, but that's a very low benchmark if you're going to use Ben Elton's novels as the benchmark. No offence, Ben, but fucking hell. No, Ben Elton's able to do the most obvious idea because he's Ben Elton, that's the thing. So, I'll do one about Big Brother. Yeah, everyone would have done
Actually, that one was quite clever. It was quite
He did one
now
about...
and again, you're sneering through your way through Ben Elton, and then now and again you go, blimey, that's quite good, actually. That's a really good plot line.
He did one. I mean, I've got a sort of love-hate relationship with
He's
Ben Elton.
not a complete idiot, is he?
No, he's not. I'm a massive fan of his as a kid, and then, and the Blackadder and all the stuff he did, and his stand-up. And then some of the choices.
Stand-up was awful.
But he was one of the guys that I was watching when I was young.
But Blackadder, hats off.
Yeah, Blackadder's amazing, and he did some great stuff, and then he made some weird choices. I met him in Montreal in '97. He was really nice, and I talked to him for ages about The Young Ones, which is what was the main thing that I was obsessed with, and he was really nice to me. And then the next novel he wrote about a sort of evil, corrupt comedy manager who was looking after a double act called something like Fish and Harris or something. It was literally that. And he wrote this novel about us being a pair of
puppets.
Dicks and rubbish.
Muppet puppets. Yeah.
So that was upsetting, but I had been quite rude about him. So it's fair enough. If you want to come on, Ben, I'd love to have you on the podcast. Promise to be like... I mean, it's Richard Curtis. I love Richard Curtis, and then I realised how many awful things I've said about Richard Curtis films. It'd be very difficult to have him on the podcast. I mean, I've said lots of shit about you, but you don't listen, so it's okay. Anyway, Inheritance, which I've got the book, but I also the best thing that happened to me this week, and that will give you an idea of how far into the book I've got because I only started listening to it this week. Your management said, "Oh yeah, we'll send you an audiobook. That's great. I can listen to it on my dog walk." They sent me a code. I thought, "Oh, I'll get the book for free." I got 3 Audible books with the code.
Bingo.
And that's just the best thing. I thought, that's great. Well, I've got Jenny's. I can actually get some stuff I want to listen to as well.
You thought what? I could get
I guess I've got Margaret Atwood's latest book. I'm very excited about that.
I'm sick of Margaret Atwood. There are 2 books. I'm sick of the sight of this. Atwood and that Fleischman is in trouble. I'm sick of that one and I'm sick of Atwood. They're all over the bookshops.
They are. My local bookshop I went to, literally the whole window is just Atwood.
Yeah, I know. My local bookshop.
Atwood.
You remember that old advert? Have you got Fly Fishing by J.P. Hartley? I'm like in there. Have you got Inheritance by Jenny Eclair?
But I've listened to the audiobook. I'm fascinated by audiobooks. I love listening to audiobooks because I don't have time to read. To sit down and read, but I can walk the dog and listen to an hour of a book every morning.
It's really efficient. Well, Audible books are the way forward if you're sort of busy and all that, or lazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm lazy. But some of them are difficult to follow if you're just listening, your mind wanders and you come back and you don't know where you are. Yours is not. Yours is very easy to follow. You are doing it yourself. So it's a weird situation. I know you.
God, you must have had a belly full of me this week.
It's weird to have someone you know read their book to you.
Yeah,
But how is it?
You're not listening in bed, are you? I'm
not
there on the pillow next to you. Yeah.
I'm on the dog walk. There's no one around. I can do it on the dog walk as well. The dog doesn't mind. How is it? The problem you write a book.
Yeah.
And then
That's actually the hard bit.
Yeah, it's hard, but then you sort of finish it and then you don't go back over it all the last time. As you're reading the whole thing again, are you getting to chunks where you're going, oh, why didn't I change this? Or, oh, what? And do you change it as you're reading it if there's an annoying bit?
There are 22 mistakes in that book.
Right.
And my sister, the lawyer, the barrister, my sister, older, difficult woman, she found 2.
Right.
And that, she sent me this email. She said, I very much enjoyed your book. I have to say I found 2 mistakes. And I thought, you silly cow, there's 22. And that must have really frustrated her because I told her and she must have gone through it. And, but yeah, just now and again every book has got several mistakes in it. And there's one at the beginning when 6 people sit down for dinner and there's only 5 or something like that. And just a couple of things. No, what really shocked me was I'd forgotten that there were different accents in it, even though I know the book very well.
Yeah.
So I went in to do the record, and the producer said, are you happy with all the accents you're going to have to do with this book? And I kind of went, what accent? And she went, you got Cornish, you got American. And then I thought, fuck, this is awful.
Yeah.
So now and again there are these like, really? Can you like that? And the worst thing, because I was offered Tamsin Greig, who's a really good actress. Yeah. But I just thought, no, she's not having it. I'm doing it. And there were moments. The American, we had to get someone in that was doing on a work experience or something. She had to come in and do some, and I had to copy her.
Okay.
It's quite bad.
It is quite bad.
The American is quite bad.
I know. I like it because you're not making that. You're not going into full.
I'm not
doing the full performance. It's just like I'm going.
There's a reason why my acting CV is so limited. There really is.
But it's if you're reading a book, like when you're reading to a child, you do all the voices. But when you're reading to an adult, you don't have to do the voice. Margaret Atwood has lots of actors in to do all the parts. I believe in
Good
hers.
for her.
Yeah, she's got a bit of spare cash, I think. She's doing all right, isn't she?
Yeah, apparently so. She's apparently got a machine as well. She's had a machine invented for her that does her signature for her. So she doesn't have to do that.
Wow, now I don't like her.
No, I know. She's a cheat.
I'm going to write a novel about Margaret Atwood not signing her own books.
That's a really good book, that. Where are you up to?
Quite early on.
Oh, God, where are you up to?
I'm into about an hour or 2 into it. So
where are you up to?
So it's up to... I don't want to give away anything. It's the story about... there's some people... Based on your life, it's a stand-up comedian. It's about a stand-up comedian.
I'm so glad that you're not doing this for A-level.
It's a mean question to ask me where I'm up to, but
you
we've
love
got.
it.
I do. I really like it. It's you've got like lots of suspense. There's some little seeding in clues about who might be the parents of whoever. You know, it's about a posh family.
It's about a posh
what
family.
I don't like about
badly.
it, and this is the only thing that I find having kids that I find now difficult. And people said, "Oh, you won't like jokes about paedophilia, and you won't like this when you've got kids." I don't care about any of that.
No.
What I don't like is having to read stuff about kids dying.
Yeah.
So this has been quite difficult because there's a child that dies in it very
early on. Yeah.
And it's all about it's sort of like sliding doors, isn't it? A bit.
There's a little
Jenny.
bit. I did copy Sliding Doors.
Yeah, it's a bit like
That's
Sliding
what I
Doors.
did.
My favourite film.
I did. I thought Margaret Atwood's done the sort of dystopian future and sort of women thing. I'll just do Sliding Doors again. That's what I'll do. I can imagine that. Yes, I cried twice when I was reading it.
It's very serious. It's beautifully written. There's loads of lovely imagery in there. Just trying to think what the one that got me early on, but I can't remember what it was. They'll find it themselves. They'll find it themselves. I don't want to give it away.
This is the worst plug for a book that I had. No, it's basically most of my. Has anybody here ever read one of my novels? Oh God. We have drawn an entire blank here. Oh, I'm mortified.
You should read him. She's an absolutely brilliant author, and it's like it's serious. It's not.
It's not shit.
It's not shit. There's a baby in a drawer in it. It's got everything. The kid dies in the swimming pool. I don't want to give too much away.
Don't give too much away. All my books have got, usually at the centre of them, a bad-tempered middle-aged woman who is dissatisfied with her life.
Yeah.
This one has. She's got 2 children who won't leave home.
Yeah.
And I think that in Brexit London, that's a very kind of common thing that people can sympathise with, because, you know, houses are now full of 30-year-olds who really should have fucked off 10 years ago. And can't afford rent.
But it's a very dense thing, and it's set in the past, at least the beginning set in the past, and it's about posh people living in a house in Cornwall.
Yeah, there's a big house in Cornwall, so it's kind of got that bit of a gothic thing going on. Big house in Cornwall. It's a posh family behaving badly, and the consequences thereof.
But what made you choose that, and how much like time do you have to do constructing that world? Because that's not a world you know about, is it? Or is there something?
The family seat. No, I do love Cornwall, and I go to Cornwall a lot. And there is, I don't know if ever any of you lot go, but there's a hotel called Foy Hall that is I suppose, the seed of Kittiwake. The house is called Kittiwake. So I kind of nabbed that. But for me, houses are really important. I have to see the house first. The house is the beginning of the books. So I had Kittiwake, which was, as I say, Foy Hall, but then I repainted it, I plastered it and painted it yellow and put some wisteria up it. I've done this, do you know what? One of my books, Camberwell Beauty, the first one, was set in a house that now belongs to Florence Welsh, of Florence and the Machine.
Okay.
But in the book, I burnt it down. So, and I remember someone coming up to me in Edinburgh and saying, you know, it's thanks to you that my mum bought a smoke alarm, because we actually live in that house before they sold it to Florence.
Right.
And it freaked her out so much, she actually bought a smoke alarm. So there you go. I could have saved people's lives.
Yeah. Sliding doors again. It's another sliding door. Everything's sliding doors, let's face it. Everything's just sliding doors, isn't it? That's every book is sliding doors. Every film is sliding doors.
Yeah.
Fuck off with your sliding doors.
Well, anyway... I'm not going to bother writing another one. So if I do, I'm going to call it Sliding Doors.
And do you...
Sliding patio doors.
I think that's a good idea. Do you make it... Do you know what's going to happen? I heard you saying you don't know, because that must be unusual. That's how I write, and it's really difficult, though, right?
Not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's up to the characters. You create the characters, they tell you what to do. And sometimes they do things, and you think, well, I had no idea you were going to do that. Now what am I going to do with the rest of you? That is uncanny and weird, and there's often strange coincidences and things like that. But the whole house thing, I think it's because my mum's fault. When I was brought up by army parents. Well, my mum wasn't in the army, but my dad was, and my mum was an army wife and a bit disabled, so she didn't have to have a job. So let her off the hook, will you, everybody? She was quite strict on kind of spoiling us. So we just weren't spoiled. And if I said, oh, I really want a doll's house, I was just obsessed by having a doll's house. She'd say, make one, here's a cardboard box, make one. And ever since then, the houses have been a big part of all the novels I've written. And I think because we lived in army quarters as well, and they all looked the same because, especially, you know, in places like Berlin, everyone had the same furniture. So you went to an army school and you went to your friends' houses and they had the same sideboards and the same kind of furniture and even plates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when my dad came out of the army, and I was only about 8, and we came back to this country, and I went to, like, civilian houses. I could not... It blew my mind that people had these bedrooms with all these different things in them.
Yeah.
And I think that's... I'm just psychoanalyzing myself.
Yeah.
I'm fascinating. You know, I just sit here thinking, well, what about me and my deep thoughts?
Not many comics when they, you know, comedians, and I know you're a writer as well, and it's maybe not fair to say that, but not many comedians they'll write something very close to their own life, is what I'm saying. I think this is a long...
You can't do that 5 times.
No.
Because the publishers, they kind of get wise to it. They go, you've done that.
Yeah. But it's difficult, you know, it's really hard. Writing a book's the hardest thing to write out of all the things that you have to write, I would say.
It's ever so slightly miserable as well, because, I mean, that's why I'm so keen to get back on stage next year. Because, I mean, I had a really good time writing that, and some of it really wrote itself, and that's joyful. But when it's done, it's done. When you write a good show, my last solo show, How to Be a Middle-Aged Woman, open brackets, without going insane, close brackets, can't be done, by the way. I toured that for 3.5 years, and I had joy every night I did it. I had absolute joy from it, and loads of money. Books are shit by comparison to that, because it's gone, and you don't get applause every day.
No.
I hate that.
Yeah. Well, it's that solitude. You know, I've found whenever I've got to write a sitcom at the moment, which is just a radio sitcom, and I've got to do it quite quickly, and I'm finding it very difficult to sit down. Just sit down to do anything. But you know, it's a very good book. Do buy it, and I'll, you know, I probably will listen to the rest of it after I've listened to Margaret Atwood's the books that I got for free. Thanks for the free books. We got. Well, you say that about middle age, and that's what I wonder. I've got lots of middle-aged male friends, and I don't know if this is as true of women. Like, one by one, my middle-aged 50-plus friends are going properly a little bit mad, I would say, to the extent I don't want to...
Are these the ones that are still drinking?
I'm not sure all of them are, but there's this thing that I think maybe it happens more to men, because men lose the power and then start to look for conspiracies everywhere. You know, it's like this kind of conspiracy theory.
What, against them?
Yeah, or they get very obsessed about something that's... I mean, you know, I'm sort of doing that as a joke with my Stones, but it's that sort of thing where you get very obsessed with one issue, for example, and then... Or believing that the world's against you, or, you know, the world's changing.
Paranoia.
But the world's changing for men, and it's in a good way, I think. I look at it and go, this is great, this is interesting, the world's changing. Yeah.
Put your feet up.
Yeah. But a lot of my friends, one by one, seem to be going properly... They're going mad, I would say.
Yeah.
Do you think that happens to women as much, or do you think
no, because we're used to being shat on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of... And it's just not as... I don't mind being a middle-aged woman. I get quite a kick out of it. I actually really enjoy the hobby side of it. I really feel that I've reached the hobby time of life. I mean, when I was younger, I thought people who did hobbies were really sad because I was too busy snogging to have hobbies. But once the snogging stops, you've got to fill that time.
I do, yeah.
And I really find, you know, I do yoga and I do the tapestry and I do the painting. I am, you know, a complete cliche of a middle-aged woman. Yeah.
But that keeps you sane? Sane-ish?
I'm on HRT, I take loads of drugs, I'm still drinking, I love drinking. So, yeah, I'm fairly contented.
Yeah.
Still, you know, the old man doesn't annoy me too much. It's all right.
And you got your podcast, Older and Wider.
Older and Wider, yeah. That's... Does anyone listen to... I'm not asking this lot. Oh, you know, genuinely, there's absolutely no point, is there?
Well, there is. If they don't listen to it, they will listen to it. I think it's tapping into... I think there's a lot of podcasts for younger people. There's a lot of... I mean, there's not enough podcasts for children, I don't think. I don't think there's many podcasts for kids, and that's probably a good thing to
Tap
get into.
Yeah.
But... So I think what you're saying earlier, I've got
But kids have got no money.
No.
What you want to do is tap into a market that's got some money.
They do. They spend all my fucking money.
Yeah.
They're only 2-year-olds and still I'm spending loads of money on them. But they're aimed a lot at men. I think a lot of them, increasingly that's changing now. But there's also not many aimed at...
There's a lot of niche sort of
there's not many aimed at middle-aged people.
No, we've had to sort of make a video for middle-aged women how to download a podcast and what a podcast is.
Yeah.
Our podcast is a podcast for people who don't know what a podcast is.
Yeah.
That's its kind of thing. And it's myself and a woman called Judith Holder, who was the producer of all the Grumpy TV things, and then we wrote the Grumpy TV shows. And... we're a bit chalk and cheese. She's like a proper grown-up. She's like a bit head girl. And she's never shoplifted. And she lives in the country in a thatched cottage.
Okay.
And I live in the middle of southeast London. So there's a bit of town mouse, country mouse going on. And she's got, a grown-up husband and all that sort of thing, and a married daughter. And there's very little punk in her. Whereas when I'm with her, I feel really punky and rebellious. And I love that. And we just make each other laugh. We do genuinely. I think that thing of friendship, when I think that everybody recognises it, whether you're a man or a woman, it's the best friend thing. It's what you tell your best friend, if you haven't seen them for a few days. It's the secrets in the girls' toilets, all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we really do, we make each other laugh.
Yeah, it's very enjoyable.
There was a highlight this week. There was where... because we forget that anybody listens, because not many people do, you see. This is the joy of it. It's very intimate. So I was asking Judith whether she'd ever farted in front of any of her daughter's boyfriends. Because...
That's it. I think we know why.
Well, I was asking for a friend. And I just had this instant when I'd gone to Cornwall with the old man, and the daughter and the boyfriend had sort of come with because, free holiday. And when you go out for the day and you get back, and Jeff had got out the car and he was sort of, I don't know what he was doing. And sometimes at the end of a long day, you're sitting there and you just think, I can't actually be bothered to get out of the car now. I can't be bothered. And I just put my feet up on the dashboard. Like that I did. And I just released. And it was like ripping a pair of curtains. Yeah. And then I just looked in the rearview mirror. I thought, shit. There was our Phoebe and the boyfriend Tristram in the back. And there was this terrible, terrible smell. And an awful silence. And I thought, well, I've got to say something. I said, did you hear that? And Tristram, God love him, has said, what?
Was it one of those cars where you can't open the back doors without pushing the seat forward, because then they're stuck in the back? Otherwise,
tell you, honestly, it was a choker.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So you're a different personalities, but it seems to me as well that it's weird that the way that I think definitely more with women than middle-aged men. Middle-aged men still carry on working, don't they? But on TV terms, it is this thing where middle-aged, you don't see very many middle-aged women on TV.
You don't see me.
Well, you don't see. There's very few people, very few represented-wise, given how many middle-aged women there are in the world and in the country. Because, the men die and women carry on living.
Yeah.
And they're not represented. And also TV is for old people now anyway. It's kind of crazy that...
You would think. And I do get frustrated, but I think that if you live your whole career waiting for television to kind of take notice of you, you could get, well, as we have. We could, I could be even more bitter than I am. Yeah. I am occasionally quite bitter about it, and I do get very jealous. And I remember... I read today on Chortle, which is, a website that you shouldn't look at if you don't want other people's success rubbed in your fucking face. And Sue Perkins, who I adore, has got a new Radio 4 quiz show about nature. And I pitched that 4 years ago. And you just go, well, why wasn't I allowed to do it? You can sometimes get very petty and childish, and because it wasn't right at the time, and the time is right now, and they don't want me, they want Sue. And sometimes you have to go, okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can fuck off and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, like both of us really in this century have made our own work.
Yeah.
And, you know, so writing books and touring shows, and you've toured so many stand-up shows and the Grumpy Old Women shows.
Yeah.
And been very, very successful with those. And, you know, and doing podcasts, you make your own work. And, you know,
and my own tapestry, and my own cushions.
Tapestry, we can start selling those tapestries out the back. Anyone want to buy a half-done tapestry? I'll start doing them if
of
they
a
work.
Dalmatian.
Took me a while to work out what it was going to be. Anyway, the spots gave it away. Well, there's loads I want to talk. We'll get you back. We'll come back another time.
Another 7 years.
Yeah, another 7 years.
See if I'm finally through the menopause.
But thank you so much for going on. Ladies and gentlemen, give a massive round of applause, Jenny Eclair!
Cheers, thank you.
We'll be back in a little while. Go and have a drink, and we'll be back next week with another one. How'd you like them sky potatoes?